Have you ever had that feeling where you're talking, but you can just tell nobody is really listening? Well, today, we're going to decode the art of true, effective communication. We're going to build a bridge of understanding, and we're using some incredibly powerful ideas from a classic Spanish text to do it. So the author kicks things off with this fantastic irony. He quotes the writer, Malcolm Muggeridge, who noticed that most books about communication have, well, una incapacidad singular para comunicar, a singular inability to communicate. Isn't that wild? They're often so dense and boring, they literally fail at their own subject. Okay, so if the so-called experts get it wrong so often, how do we get it right? How do we actually build that connection with people to make sure our ideas land? The source gives us this amazing metaphor that we're going to unpack today. Building a bridge. Every good bridge has to start with a solid foundation, right? For us, that foundation is what the text calls la esencia de la comunicación, the absolute essence of what it means to communicate. You know, the clue is right there in the word itself. Comunicación actually comes from the Latin word common, which means common. And that gives us the very first law of communication. You cannot connect with someone without first establishing common ground. It's the absolute non-negotiable starting point. And this is illustrated so perfectly in the text. There's a story about a teacher, Mike. He's a happily married dad, and he's trying to connect with his student, Mary, who's a divorced single mom. Now, he can't just walk in and assume she understands his world. He has to intentionally build that common ground by spending time with her, sharing a meal, even going fishing. He has to earn the right to communicate by building a real relationship first. Okay, so our foundation is laid. Now, every sturdy bridge needs support. And in communication, that support rests on three absolutely essential pillars, what the book calls los pilares de la comunicación. So, according to the source, any truly powerful message is a blend of three things. You can think of it as intellect, emotion, and volition or will. In Spanish, that's conocimiento, which is knowledge, sentimientos or feelings, and acción, action. And for your message to work, you've got to have all three. Pillar number one is conocimiento, knowledge. It's pretty straightforward. You have to actually know what you're talking about. You can't give what you don't have, right? This is the intellectual what of your message. It's the substance, the bedrock of your credibility. But just knowing stuff, that's not going to cut it. Pillar number two is sentimientos, feeling. You have to feel the importance of what you're saying. This is the passion, the heart. It's the emotional, why does this even matter? I mean, if you're not excited about it, why on earth should anyone else be? The source has this incredible line that just perfectly captures the danger of passionless communication. It talks about people who are teaching the most exciting truth in the world as if it were a serving of cold mashed potatoes. Just think about that for a second. Cold mashed potatoes. That's what a great idea sounds like without any feeling behind it. And the final pillar, acción or action, really ties it all together. You have to live your message. It's not just about what you know or what you feel, it's about what you do. Your behavior is a huge and often the most powerful part of how you communicate. It's the living, breathing proof of your words. And this leads to maybe the most powerful quote in the entire text. Lo que usted es mucho más importante que lo que dice. What you are is so much more important than what you say. Your actions, your character, they speak with a volume that words can just never, ever match. Authenticity isn't just a tactic, it's the whole ballgame. So our bridge has a solid foundation and three strong pillars holding it up. But now we have to actually pave the roadway so the message can travel across smoothly. This is la entrega del mensaje, the delivery of the message. And delivery happens through two main channels. You've got the verbal, that's the actual words you choose, and then you have the nonverbal, your tone of voice, your gestures, your facial expressions, your actions. Both are important, obviously, but they do not carry the same weight. Not even close. Okay, get ready for this, because this statistic is wild. Research cited in the source suggests that our words, our palabras, only account for about 7% of our message's total impact. A whopping 93% comes from our tone and our body language. It really truly is not what you say, but how you say it. So to make that 93% really work for you, the source gives some great practical keys. Start with a hook that grabs them. Have a clear, logical flow. Use relevant illustrations. The book calls them windows that let the light in. And for the love of all that is good, have a decisive conclusion. Don't be that person who just circles the airport forever, never landing the plane. So we've built our bridge. We've paved the roadway. But how do we know if anyone actually used it? How do we know if the message got across? This brings us to the final and maybe most critical step, la prueba de la comunicación, the test of communication. The ultimate test all comes down to one simple concept, retroalimentación, or feedback. And this idea completely flips the script on how we usually think about success. See, true communication isn't measured by what the speaker says. It's measured by what the listener understands, feels, and ultimately does. This puts all the responsibility on the sender. Your message only works if it's proven in the receiver's response. And that leads to this final, just brilliant story from the text. The author mentions that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. But then a wise old Texan corrected him. He said he knew exactly how to get that stubborn horse to drink. His secret? Dale de comer sal y verás. Feed them salt, and you'll see. The lesson is so profound. Our job as communicators isn't to force feed people information they don't want. Our job is to make them thirsty for it. So I'll leave you with that question to think about. In your conversations, in your work, in your life, what are you making people thirsty for? Thanks for joining this explainer.